What is up, everybody? I am back again with another Tears of the Kingdom trailer video because, as we all know, one dropped just yesterday, and I would have had this video out yesterday if not for the fact that Nintendo chose to drop a trailer for my most anticipated game of the year on one of the 2 days I actually don't work from home, which I find to be very disrespectful. But for the sake of me keeping my sanity, I'm not going to speak further on that fact. I have a lot that I really want to talk about. I've watched this trailer at least 15 times, I think, a couple times on slow-mo, especially just this morning, just scrolling through and seeing what all I could see, just soaking it in. Yesterday, I watched it the minute the live stream went on, and I was texting my friends, and I was like, hey, if you notice anything, send me a screenshot, and I've gotten so many things, and then something else really happened yesterday, so I'm kind of glad that I didn't record yesterday because we have some things to talk about. So I'm gonna start small and then we're gonna work our way up to the big stuff. So I want to start with the music played in the background of the trailer, which might seem a little bit weird, but if you know me, you know I'm a really big video game background music gal. I love it. This song, this theme that plays in the background of the trailer, it's very much on brand for The Legend of Zelda. And I don't know if you've noticed, it includes some of the most pivotal songs and themes from the Legend of Zelda series, including the original main Zelda theme song. It includes Zelda's lullaby at the end, Ganondorf's theme in the middle, Hyrule Castle's theme. I mean, it includes so many things, and it really speaks to just how long this series has been carrying on. But it also tells me that things are really culminating. But I do want to talk about something I thought was really hilarious. Somebody was cool enough to just post the theme song by itself. I'll put the link down in the description for it. And I listened to it, and a lot of people in their comments are swearing on their life they can hear Midna's lament. I don't hear it. I can see why people would think they can hear Midna's lament for it, but it's three notes that happen to be the same as notes from Midna's lament. However, you can't really make a suggestion like that off of three notes. You know what I mean? I think people are so down bad for Midna and for Midna's return in the series. And listen, this is not shade, because same, I would love for her to return. And we were really hoping that this new game would be her moment to come back, that we've been trying to reach to pull her into this. And this is the most recent example of that. We are reaching for Midna's lament. And that's no shade to y'all, because again, I would love her to come back. I don't think that's the one, y'all. I really don't. I mean, you can listen to it for yourself. It sounds like Midna's lament might be in there, but I don't think three notes is enough to say Midna's lament is included in that theme. Because the other ones that are included in that theme, some of them are included in there more than once, and the entirety of the leitmotif from those themes is at least included. So it's not just three notes from Hyrule Castle. It's the entire piece. It's the whole thing that lets you know this is Hyrule Castle and nothing else. God knows I love Midna, but we're gonna have to, God knows we love Midna, some energy into the next game, I fear. I mean, hell, prove me wrong. If I start playing on May 12th and Midna pops up anywhere in there, I'm gonna be like, I was wrong and I'm happy about it. Let's get into the things that I noticed and the theories that I pulled out of my ass. So first and foremost, at the very beginning of the trailer, and I'm gonna go through the trailer in order. Number one, the very first scene that you see is a Zonai construct on one of those floating islands fighting a blue choo-choo. And I know what you're thinking, Alex, that's just cute. And it is. It's very cute because we've all decided that we think the Zonai constructs and the Zonai rangers are adorable, and you're right. But it's not just cute, y'all. It's also kind of telling. Think about it, right? You've got the Zonai constructs who have nothing to do with Ganondorf, seemingly. We don't know that to be true, but for the sake of argument, right? Have nothing to do with Ganondorf. And you've got choo-choos, who I don't know if I would explicitly connect them to Ganondorf, but I would put them more on his side than on the side of the Zonai in this situation. And they're fighting. To me, that says I don't really think the Zonai are gonna be the big bad. I mean, obviously we know they're not the big bad. Ganondorf's always the big bad in the game he appears in, but they're not an enemy. Zelda games have a very long history of having a secondary tribe either appear to be the enemy and then actually end up being kind of a victim in the situation. the Twilight, for example, or they were never an enemy appearance at all and they were victims from the jump. But usually the former, the Twilight. We thought the Twilight were assholes until we found out they were being controlled by Ganondorf. The people who live in Lorule, we thought they were evil. Turns out they were being hoed. Same thing goes here. I think the Zonai are good people who are probably having their lifestyle bothered. Second, we see a Zonai construct chopping wood. And again, yes, it is a cute little robot chopping wood. It's adorable. But it again speaks to them not being evil. Well, Alex, villains can chop wood. That's not the point. Like, yes, villains can chop wood. Have you seen a Bokoblin chopping wood? A Moblin chopping wood? A Lionel chopping wood? No, you don't. But you do see a Zonai Ranger going to town on a tree. I think I'm right, honestly. Next, I don't know if I talked about this in the last video. I don't think I did. When you see Link diving out of the sky on his, and this might be my cosplay eye kind of coming out, because believe me, I'm trying to cosplay that ASAP, and I've been looking at every possible angle of his outfit to try and figure out how I'm gonna make it. And so I noticed things that people might not on costumes at this point. There are tubes or like tiny little bottles of some type of turquoise greenish liquid. He's got them like on his belt, on his waist. What are those for? I don't think during the gameplay video that we saw, I don't believe they spoke of that. So I'm wondering what those are used for. Is it a magic meter coming back? Because think about it, Breath of the Wild didn't have a magic meter because a lot of the things that were fantastical that Link would get up to were the results of Sheikah technology, not magic. Are we getting magic back and now there's just a physical representation of that magic meter? That would be interesting. I'm a classic Zelda lover. That's a classic Zelda mechanic. I'm all for it. I think it would piss some people off, but I didn't ask. Going forward with Link's diving scene, you can see off in the distance, there has to be the most advanced crop circle I've ever seen in my entire life. And I don't have a theory or a thought process on where the hell that's really coming from. I'm not entirely sure where that could be coming from. The only far-reaching idea I have is that Ganon's marking the land for death or some shit. I'm not really sure. We don't know enough about the Zonai for me to make a very educated guess on that. I just thought it was freaky, honestly. Like, it's burned into the ground. It's not of a design that I really recognize. And again, the Twilight Princess lovers are gonna try and say it's Twilight related, but stop hurting yourselves. I don't know where it's coming from, but I do want to point it out because I know it's significant, because I was not there in Breath of the Wild. All right, I want to talk about the settlements. In my previous video, I talked about how we didn't really get to see the state of affairs in Hyrule very much. Up until this trailer, Nintendo has been very hush-hush about how anybody else in Hyrule is doing. You know, we've only seen, for the longest time, just that snippet of Zelda falling into a hole and then a whole lot of Link and like nothing else. But with this trailer, they've really expanded that to show how the settlements we knew in Breath of the Wild are doing, and however amount of time has passed between the end of Breath of the Wild and the start of Tears of the Kingdom. And Hateno Village looked about weird as hell. I don't know how many people have really stopped to look at that, because it's a very small cut showing Link walking through Hateno Village, but there's some type of mushroom loving ass festival going on, and it's kind of what the fuck is that? I don't know what's going on there. I've got a couple theories and they're all funny. Number one is Hateno just has a mushroom loving contest, which, okay, sure, whatever. There's like a forest behind them that grows some mushrooms, but even that's kind of far-fetched because it's only sun shrooms. But okay, stranger things have happened. We can fucking celebrate fungus, I guess. Number two is they're insane. I don't think there's a middle ground. Either we're enjoying and celebrating a crop / principal export of Hateno Village, or we're praying to a mushroom god for our salvation because we've run out of options. I'm not really sure which way I would go with that one, but either one sounds plausible, because there's got to be some humor. There's always humor in Zelda games, and it's always weird humor. Like, it's not even like there's structures of mushrooms in the town, which is one thing because they're big. But the shop lady who's perpetually sweeping dirt in front of the shop, which, by the way, I want better for her. She was doing this in Breath of the Wild, but now she's doing it with a mushroom on her head. What the hell is going on in Hateno Village? Quite frankly, plot be damned, I just want to see that. I'm pretty sure if I'm given the same amount of freedom to roam around Hyrule as I was in Breath of the Wild, I'm going there first. I need to see what the hell's going on in there for my sanity. Moving forward with settlements, the reinstatement and reconstruction of Hyrule Castletown. Now, I don't know if that's really what's going on, but there is a clip showing tents being set up around the destroyed fountain in what used to be Hyrule Castletown in the ruins. If they're trying to rebuild Hyrule Castletown, that's kind of a small thing, I feel, but it is pretty cool just to see, hey, we haven't totally abandoned this because the castle, floating though it may be, is still here. We're gonna start rebuilding the town. Now, mind you, I would imagine once the castle started floating and shit started going down, the construction halted, but there's tents there. And that suggests that we're here to start surveying the land, taking stock of the damage so we can start building Castletown back, because there's always a Hyrule Castletown. And there wasn't one in Breath of the Wild because it was broke down because of the calamity. But they might be starting to build that back. Finally, on my settlement audit, I guess you could call it, Kakariko Village looked about fucked up as hell. I don't know how much y'all paid attention to that. There's a very quick scene of Link scaling one of the hills or mountains, whatever you want to call it, around Kakariko Village, and there's a giant portal-looking stone thing sitting up on the hill behind Impa's house. And then there's all kinds of debris and shit strewn across the paths in front of Impa's house and on that trail leading up to that first shrine and then back to that Great Fairy Fountain. I don't know if y'all really noticed that. Some shit done went down in Kakariko Village and that scares me. But this would not be the first time Kakariko Village has been a ghost town. That happened in Twilight Princess with Old Kakariko Village. And I guess New Kakariko Village too, because those people never came back. It wouldn't be the first time, sad though it may be. I was very concerned that Tears of the Kingdom would bring with it the death of Impa. She's old as dirt. There's nothing else to really say. She's old as dirt, and I'm concerned that the destruction and travesty of Kakariko Village brings with it the death of Impa. So that's something for me to be worried about, and something that I'm actually only thinking about now that I'm speaking about it out loud. So emotionally, I might be a little bit messed up after this video, I fear. Moving past the settlements discussion, let's talk about something that I'm super proud of. There's more than one scene actually of regular, everyday Hylian civilians fighting against Blins, fighting against the monsters controlled by Ganondorf. That's so cute. I don't know, I haven't played every Zelda game in the series, and that's like a downfall of mine, but I swear to God I'm working on it. But in any of the games I have played, regular Hylians who are not trained in the ways of combat pretty much hide and let death happen to them. They don't take advantage of the situation, but the Hateno motherfuckers was out there fighting with pitchforks and shit. Like, they were getting it on. It looked like they were out in the ruins of Fort Hateno going toe to toe with some bokoblins, and quite frankly, I'm for it. I am down for them being like, you know what? I've had enough of this shit. Hylians are always very much like, oh my god, save us, goddess. Like, I just finished playing Skyward Sword, and Demise himself was like, you know, you were like the first Hylian to actually step up and want to fight me. Everybody else just kind of like peed their pants and prayed to their goddess. But you're here trying to fight? That's pretty interesting to me. Well, now it's all the Hylians. The Hylians are no longer just victims. You're gonna be a victim of them, and I love that for them. Good for them. Who is that speaking to Zelda? The one telling her that we will rely on Link as our last line of defense. I don't think that's a Hylian. Number one, because what Hylian is there left to tell Zelda that? Her daddy did. That came out ruder than it was meant to, but he's gone, right? She, for all intents and purposes, she's the last living Hylian royal, so I don't really know what else could be speaking to her from a Hylian sense. I think that is going to be a Zonai elder or the leader of the Zonai outright speaking to her. I really do think that in that repeated scene where Zelda falls into a hole, she ends up underground. And I think the Zonai have been living pretty much below ground. This is kind of a stretch, mind you, but in the explanation I have of this entire scenario, they have to be underground. How they got up in the sky, we can talk about that later. But I think that Zonai elder or leader is telling Zelda, again, we are victims of Ganondorf's foolishness, and Link is gonna have to be our last line of defense the way he's y'all's last line of defense. Because that's been done before too, with the Twilight. And I know I said the Twilight princess lovers should really lower their explanations, but I really can see why they are rooting for this, because there's a lot of parallels being drawn. But I do think, in addition to the faceless person who comes up to her with that really ornate outfit and puts his hand on her shoulder to tell her, and he's got the darker skin and everything. I think that's the Zonai. Although I do want to say that I love that the Zonai are darker skin. That makes me happy. Really, really happy for like obvious reasons. But whoever that is, he's gonna play a role. Yesterday in stream, we actually discussed the trailer after we watched it, and we noticed that in that same scene where that elder is speaking to Zelda, Zelda has a teardrop mark under her right eye. And obviously this has something to do with Tears of the Kingdom, but you know, foolishness is gonna be foolishness, and one of the people in chat was like, Zelda has a tear under her eye, it's because she's been catching bodies. Now I know full well that's not what's going on here. I'm sure it's like a mark that she has a tear because there is a scene of her holding a literal fucking tear of the kingdom, and I'm sure that has something to do with the markings, the same way she holds a piece of the Triforce and she has a Triforce tattoo in the back of her hand. But it is funny to have a personal headcanon that Zelda's out here murking people and collecting teardrops as a result of that. That is hilarious. It's got nothing to do with shit, but I just thought it was funny to share. Now this is going back to Twilight. You know what? Fuck it. Twilight Princess people, I see what you're on. I get it. I'm with you at this point, because here's another parallel being drawn. Those who have played Twilight Princess, when you see the scene of Link pulling a cart full of Hylian civilians, are you not wrought with a little bit of PTSD? For those who have never played Twilight Princess or seen playthrough of it, there is a part of the game where you have to protect a carriage carrying Telma's fine ass and Ilya's amnesiac ass to Kakariko Village while a whole bunch of shit's trying to kill her and set the cart on fire. It is a terrible part of the game. It's very difficult the first few times you do it. You're almost guaranteed to fail until you really know what's going on, and that's all I could think about when I saw him pulling that cart. I don't want to do that again. Going back to that conversation we just had about how Zelda has moments of humor that are very weird. What the hell is going on with this chicken fight between Link on top of a stone talus of sorts and the bokoblins on a moving base of theirs? What the hell? There was a tweet yesterday that had that as a screenshot, and it said, Link will be the last line of defense, and then that's Link's last line of defense. He's playing chicken. Motherfucker, the sky is on fire. Are you serious right now? I just think it's so out of place with the rest of this. I cannot wait to see how this could possibly make sense within the confines of the story. Or if Nintendo's like, it doesn't, but we thought it was funny, so you need to do it at least once. I don't care, I'm gonna do it regardless. I just wanna see how it plays out. Okay, so in my last trailer video, I also spoke about how it seems as though the Blins, the Moblins, the Bokoblins, they seem more intelligent. They use tools, they have actual armor, they're in cahoots with taluses, so forth and so on, and that has to be the result of somebody pulling the strings when I was hinting at the concept of Ganondorf coming back. But now that we have confirmation through multiple ways within the same 24-hour period, might I add, I am eating. Now that we know that Ganondorf is a part of that, the trailer did a really good job of proving me right. I want my points. I was right, because there is a scene where Malice goes up into the sky and hits all of the Bokoblins and the Moblins in Lynels, and they seem to get reinvigorated. They are now under direct control as opposed to passive control of just blanket malice. Now it's directed, purposeful malice of a revived Demon King. And I just want everybody to know that I was right. So, can we talk about our new champions? Can we talk about our new champions? Oh my god. I didn't speak about this in the last video, but it was in the back of my head that obviously it seems as though the time has come for a new round of champions, now that the old champions have not only died, but fulfilled their duty to the kingdom and have passed on to the next plane. And I'm pretty sure this comes as no surprise to anybody that Riju takes over for Urbosa, Prince Sidon takes over for Mipha. What did surprise me, however, was that Tulin is the new champion instead of Tiba. However, I don't really know how old Tiba is, and I do not know the lifespan of a Rito, so that might make sense. Or maybe Tiba really he got his wing really fucked up and can't really fight like that. However, he is seen in the trailer, just Tulin is seen more, and I wasn't expecting that. And for the record, Tulin is Tiba's son, so that's the Rito champion. However, we're missing a crucial fourth. Walk through this with me, right? There was the Rito champion, Rivali. there was the Zora champion Mipha, Gerudo champion Riju, but then there was the Goron champion, whose name escapes me. What happened? The guy that we worked with in Breath of the Wild, that was Yunobo. Where is he? Why aren't we seeing Yunobo? And I don't think it's for a necessarily malicious reason. I don't think anything's wrong with Yunobo. I can't see them killing. I've never heard of a Goron dying on screen. The only time a Goron died in canon was Darmani, and he fell off the side of a cliff. So like, I don't really think anything has happened to Darunia. Not Darunia. See, look at me. I don't think anything has really happened to Yunobo, but I think he's kind of like Wade in Kim Possible, where he's not really for that action, because you know he was scared as hell the few times we were with him in Breath of the Wild. I think he takes more of a backseat supporter role as opposed to a front end fighter, which might be wrong just because champions are supposed to be champions and they're supposed to be out there leading the front and the fight. Maybe we're in the end times, ain't nobody got time for that, and he can do what makes him comfortable. That's also still helpful to the fight and the cause. But the message remains, where the hell is Yunobo? Is he okay? What's he doing? There is a dragon, and a lot of people were really excited about dragons, because in that previous video that we spoke about, you know, I pointed out that there were 3 dragons. There was Nadra, Dinral, and Farash, who all were supposed to represent the 3 golden goddesses. But then the second trailer for Tears of the Kingdom, we saw a white dragon who I theorized would probably result in representing Hylia. Well, now there's another dragon, a 3-headed Hydra dragon who has a fucking fire beard that looks suspiciously like Ganondorf. In the same way that I believe that white dragon probably represents Hylia, I fear heavily that this, what I'm calling respectfully, a Ganon dragon, I fear this Ganon dragon represents the opposite. And who was the opposite? Well, that leads me into my next thing. That guy whose hair we saw and we did not see him when he turned around, I do not believe that was Ganondorf. I have a terrible feeling, and I feel that that person was Demise. And let me explain why. Yesterday night during my stream, we've been playing Skyward Sword very quickly, and we finally finished it. And after you defeat Demise, Fee says, I have confirmed that Demise has been defeated. The residual parts of his soul have been contained within the Master Sword to be sealed away forever. And we all kind of stopped, and I was like, wait a minute. If his soul has been sealed away in that Master Sword, and if we've been shown time and time again that the Master Sword has been desecrated and broken and fucked up beyond recognition, basically, what does that mean? We've been thinking only of Fee, which, valid, is Fee okay? But what does that mean for the containment of the residual parts of Demise's spirit? I fear, and I have a very sneaking suspicion that I'm right about this, I fear that Demise has been released from the Master Sword. And I fear that that person whose face we did not see, with the same burning red fire hair and the same thicker physique, I fear that's Demise. Before you're like, well, Ganondorf is alive, that can't possibly be Demise, that's got nothing to do with it. If Demise's soul has been sealed in that Master Sword, he can still reincarnate. And he said he basically cursed Link and Zelda at the end of Skyward Sword and said, hey, my hatred for you will live on in the form of an incarnation that will follow your bloodline for centuries. And it has, but now he's come back out. And I worry that Demise and Ganondorf will team up, and this will be an extra special level of fuckery I'm not sure I'm emotionally mature enough to handle. Although it would be really funny if Ganondorf turns out to be kind of a bitch compared to Demise. Whether or not that means we end up working with Ganondorf, I highly fucking doubt it. However, it would be dope from the standpoint of all 3 holders of pieces of the Triforce working together for once. That would be dope. However, I don't know how much sense that would make. But if Ganondorf is not the primary antagonist, but Demise is, how cool would that be? Fucked for Hyrule, mind you, but how cool would that be for us as players? But I do think that's Demise. I do think the sword released the residual parts of his spirit, and I do think we're gonna have to deal with that as well. And people were talking about this title being a sort of last stand between Demise and Hylia herself. And people were going off on my Twitter comments yesterday. I really agree with y'all for sure. This being a last stand between the basal evil and the basal good. Fuck. This is gonna be a lot. Grab the tissues, I suppose. And if you thought I wasn't about to talk about the elephant in the black girl room, you're wrong. To speak about Black Zelda, that's what I'm calling her. That beautiful woman who looks a lot like Princess Zelda, still has the pointy ears, but has that beautiful melanated skin. If you think I, as a cosplayer, am not screaming and living and throwing up and plotting, you're absolutely incorrect. Who is she? That's all I want to know. And I'm prepared to wait until March 12th to find out. I told a couple of people this yesterday. The Legend of Zelda series is incredibly important to me as a person. Video games for a lot of people are a way of escape, and they are for me as well, especially when I was a child, when I was just now getting into the series, because I was bullied a lot as a kid. I didn't have a ton of friends, especially not friends who played video games like me, and so I would escape into video games, especially story-heavy, world-built-out games like The Legend of Zelda. But I didn't have a princess who looked like me. Oh, well, you had Princess Tiana? I'm not into Disney like that. I didn't have a video game princess who looked like me, okay? All the Zeldas were white. Princess Peach is white. Daisy was the closest to me because she was at least a tomboy, and I was heavy tomboy as a kid, but she was still white. Now I have a black princess in a video game who is in the Legend of Zelda series, my favorite series of all time, no less. That means the world to me. Y'all have no idea. And if you think I'm not gonna cry during the live stream of Tears of the Kingdom on day one, you're absolutely incorrect, because I'm going to bawl my eyes out and you're gonna have to be okay with it. But I just wanted to put that out there, that I see her and I love her. Off rip. Finally, y'all are kind of rude, but I do want to point this out. There's a very, very, very short cut clip of another woman who I assume to be a Zonai woman that people are, I guess, they seem affectionately referring to her as a lizard lady. Lizards by nature are ashy. I'd rather we didn't disrespect sis until we know what she's about. If she's a bitch, then sure, we can call her lizard lady then, but like, let's withhold judgment. However, I do see why we're calling her lizard lady, because she is kind of reptilian in the face. However, on closer inspection, I wonder if she has a dog nose, and that's a dog snout. However, the horns at the top lead me to believe it's still kind of reptilian. However, hybrids exist, although a lizard dog person would scare the shit out of me. That could probably just be decorative horns and this could be a dog lady. However, I would prefer it wasn't, because that can lead to a whole bunch of nothing. You know what I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say it. Whoever lizard lady is, she seems to play an important enough role that Nintendo sought to give her a full face shot. And I'm wondering, somebody in this game I have to hate. Every Zelda game I hate somebody, and I feel like I'm gonna end up hating her. She just looks kind of like a bitch, but maybe she's serving face, and I'm mistaking that for malice. I've done it before. I have a lot of insecurity. Again, I have a therapist for it, and I'm working on it. However, somebody gonna have to get hated in this game, and it might be her. I am not gonna hate on Ganondorf. He's too hot. And that's all I have to say about that. The very, 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 very end, when Zelda says, "Link, you must find me," she is standing outside. She is not underground. She is clearly on a floating piece of Sky Island, and furthermore, there are palm trees in the background to the left. Link, she said, "You must find her. She's floating on a piece of Sky Island somewhere around the Theron region." There you go. Everybody keep that, write it down. I've just saved you a lot of searching if you really and truly have to search for her. And dear God, if we have to search, let it not be with the use of Fi's god-awful dowsing ability. I'm fresh off my Skyward Sword playthrough. I'm still very irritated. That's all I had. I just wanted to discuss, and I know it was long. This was a page-long list of notes, but I had to get it out of my system. Let me know what you think about any of this. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know what you think about Twilight Princess possibly being involved in this shit, because I really do understand. I'm just thinking it's a bit of a reach. If you like this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to join the Penguin Village. We are putting out all kinds of Zelda content. We are live streaming Zelda content up and through the release of Tears of the Kingdom, and I would love to have you. It would be amazing, as we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so consider hitting the button. It's free freaking 99, and I'd like you for it. And I will see you right back here on the next video. Okay? Okay. Bye!